Winter meetings happening in Dallas, Christmas in Dallas. We don't know. Are the Rockies going to do anything? What are the moves that they could possibly make? What's on the table next week for the Colorado Rockies? Big Drive Spence and I are going to break it down for you next on the DNVR Rockies podcast. What is up, everyone? Welcome live from the Toyota Lounge here on the DNVR Rockies podcast. We're getting in the holiday spirit here on the show today. It's still got a ways to go before we get to Christmas, but in the spirit of the holidays and in light of winter meetings happening in just a couple days over in Dallas, we're checking our wish list out here. We're getting our stockings stuffed, trying to figure out what the Rockies are going to do here in these next couple weeks. The bar has been decorated. It looks good, man. The holiday spirit has hit the DNVR vibes here.
Yeah, I love this time of year. Mostly because it feels like work is just not as hard. Because you
That's
don't
true.
nobody
That is true.
expects as much of you at this time of year. Especially
Yeah.
like rolling after Thanksgiving, and then you have these couple weird weeks before, the Christmas break, and you've got holiday parties and you've got friend parties and all that kind of stuff. It just feels like every day is a little easier this time of the year.
It feels like a break. Maybe it's like going back to school, because like when you went to like high school, at least my high school, like we would take a week off for Thanksgiving, and then you come back to school for like a week, 2 weeks maybe, and then you have like 3 weeks off for Christmas.
Yep.
And so, there was always just that, like, do we really have to be here for 2 weeks? Like, why are we doing, I had already checked out. So we're keeping things going. This is weird, actually, though, because this is the first show that we've done since last Wednesday. I went on a little mini vacation, got out of town to Seattle, checked out away from baseball for a few days, which was kind of nice. I didn't miss anything. I was worried that I was going to miss Juan Soto signing or something like that. Didn't miss any of that. And now I come back, and it's been like a week and a half. So I'm happy to jump back on to things. We're going to talk a little bit about the winter meetings, what the Rockies might be looking at, if is there trades that we could possibly see, give our take on that. Talk a little bit about Juan Soto. I mean, there's a possibility that Juan Soto signs while we're on the show. I mean, Jeff Passan had said that he was going to sign before winter meetings kicked off. Well, it's Friday before the weekend and before winter meetings take place on Monday. So if I was a betting man, I would go out on a limb and say Juan Soto might sign today at some point. Now, I don't know when, but there's a possibility that happens. So we'll be keeping our notifications on loud just for you guys in case Juan Soto signs. We'll talk about that later in the show, and then talk a little bit about some of the other baseball news that's going on right now in the world. But before we go, before we get started on any of this, I want to dive right into winter meetings, because winter meetings are interesting, and this will be my first year officially covering winter meetings as like a reporter, not just as a fan. Winter meetings are interesting, though, because the Rockies are in this position where you are still in a rebuild. You're still in a reconstructing phase, as they so love to call it. But at the same time, I think we're starting to see that there are some young guys in our system that are starting to get playing time, or possibly going to be getting playing time next year. Chase Dollander, Amador, Palmquist, Zach Veen, all these guys, we can go down the list, that are going to likely be showing up at Coors Field over the next 12 months or so. So this winter meetings, it's going to be interesting to see how the Rockies approach this, because I think you can go one of two ways. You could, on one hand, go out and say, we're going to try to tackle some smaller prospects and, some smaller moves and pad some of the lineup that we have now with our limited payroll. Or we're going to sit back and say, we're not going to touch any of this. We're just going to talk to some people, and we're happy with the guys that we have that we're just waiting to develop. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they approach this. Is there a specific version of this winter meetings that you want to see the Rockies approach? Do you want them to go kind of head first into this, or do you want them to kind of trust the lineup that they have for now and the development that they're at?
They're in such an interesting position because you have so many younger players that appear to be ready for the spotlight and appear to be ready to play 140 plus games every day at the major league level, but you also don't want to give up on the potential of a veteran who can help them along the way. After losing Charlie Blackmon this year, you don't have a clear. Ryan McMahon still feels young to me. I know he's a veteran. He's probably been in the league for 7-8 years, probably longer. But you want to keep poking around for the Jake Caves and the players like that I do feel like we can't quantify how much they mean to the team if they're hitting whatever, playing 10, 20, 30 games. But in the room, I think it's really important to have a few of those veterans. Like, yes, going younger and letting the younger guys play is the key. And that's where the interesting thing comes up to me, is because if you go sign a veteran, then if he needs playing time, you're taking that playing time and you're just kind of kicking the can down the road in terms of we're constantly reconstructing for the next 5 years without. They did kind of blow it up, if you will, and have hit rock bottom, hopefully.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting way about going about it where you don't want to fill it up with a bunch of veterans that you felt like you did that 3 or 4 years ago, and they took playing time from guys that could have played earlier. So they're in an interesting spot.
It is. It's like a tipping point, because you're right. Like, on one hand, you don't want to load up on veterans and take away playing time from the young guys. And we know the Rockies have done that in the past. And we know the Rockies have been hesitant there, or as a team are hesitant to embrace the youth movement. I think we saw them get closer to that last year. But even at the end of the year, like when we didn't see Drew Romo playing a lot towards the end of the season, and there was conversations of like, why are we not seeing some of these young players that we're committing to long term, at least for now, getting this playing time? So I like the idea of actually taking a step back and not going too gung-ho here at these winter meetings, not trying to make all these veteran moves, because I want them to be comfortable with what they have right now. Is it enough to be a winning team? No, it's not. Like, let's not beat around the bush here and pretend like the Rockies are going to the playoffs with the team they have next year. But it's a start. And to get to that point, you have to build the foundation of guys like Zach Veen, Jordan Beck, Chase Dollander when he eventually gets there, even Charlie Condon down the road. So I want the Rockies to be very calculated in the moves that they make, if they make any, during these winter meetings. And so to toss out some names, I do think they're going to go into a veteran-heavy, trade perspective if they do go into that. I would look to see a pitcher, go in from a veteran perspective, because I do think you've got Sam Hilliard, who's a veteran player, in the outfield. That's a possibility in the outfield. You've got Ryan McMahon in the infield at third base. You've got a couple veteran pitchers, Herman Marquez and Tony Senzatella. I think where you're lacking veteran guys is in the bullpen staff, because the bullpen's so young. So could a guy like Blake Trinan, Tommy Kahnle, another former Rocky, Paul Sewald, these are names that have been tossed out there that could fill that gap for a team that had one of the worst ninth-inning bullpens in all of baseball last year, or late-inning bullpens in all of baseball last year. Could picking up a guy like that fill a gap?
Yeah, and I think the successful Rockies teams we've had in the past have had that shutdown closer, the Houston Street, the Wade Davis.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't necessarily know if this is kind of going back on the same point of like, do you take away save opportunities from Victor Vodnik, or now my mind's drawing a blank.
Seth Alverson.
Yes, Seth Alverson. Or do you at least get a guy in there that's like, okay, maybe he can pitch in the 8th inning. Maybe he can pitch in the 9th inning to start the year. Maybe, it's something has to change there. Like I feel like there's a lot of, in the Rockies organization, there's a lot of like, all right, these guys can and should play better. And that like builds a little bit of hope in my mind, where I'm like, okay, looking at the guys on the field, that team could be good.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, they're a bunch of has-beens that never were good, or there's hope for that part of the team. And there's hope for the bullpen too, with a lot of the young guys they have there, but you have to have a stabilizer at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting because I talked to Brenton Doyle on the show 2 weeks ago, and he had an interesting point that he made where towards the end of the season, he was saying that when the Rockies could go into late innings in the game, 6th, 7th, 8th inning on, if you had the lead, he's like, I felt confident later in the season that we had the guys that could come in and get you a win if you had that lead going into the late innings. And the stats show it. The Rockies didn't blow a lot of saves and or late inning leads late in the season like they did early in the season. So it shows that the young bullpen has good talent, good capabilities, good high upside. But it's a matter of, can we do that consistently, and can there be a leader in that clubhouse, in the bullpen, in the locker room that can help these guys keep their heads on straight because they're so young. Seth Halverson, Victor Vodnik, Seth Halverson hasn't even thrown a full season at the big league level yet. So what are we going to get out of him over the course of 162 games? That's a big question mark for almost every single arm in that bullpen. So I do think going for a guy like Blake Trinan or Paul Sewald or Tommy Kahnle, just a veteran who can pitch late innings in those games. Now, who knows if they actually want to come play in Colorado, but going after a guy like that is a good move. They're not going to cost a ton of money. They're not going to, they can probably fit within that payroll limit that the Rockies are going for, and they would give you good late innings. So that's an option. The other options that you look at is, do the Rockies try to pad their farm system even more? Do they go for a prospect-to-prospect trade? We've seen that happen in the past. The last time the Rockies made a prospect-for-prospect trade, they landed Nolan Jones and Greg Jones. So that, at least in Nolan Jones' rookie year, that worked out, for them. Do we think that would be something that the Rockies would want to attack in saying, we've got all these extra outfielders, for example, maybe we trade Jordan Beck and pick up a couple more pitchers or whatever?
Yeah, so going down that road is the road I hope they go down, because there's the way I want it as a fan and the way they're probably going to look at it as ownership and management is different. And obviously I haven't scouted all of these players. I would really like to see them trade a prospect for a more proven player, if that's a possibility, because the prospects that we have, I don't know what's the right answer is, and nobody does because it's sports and everything is random. But I just hope they trade the right prospects, because I could see them they do have not an embarrassment of riches, but they've got too many guys that are on the verge, in my opinion, of, especially in the outfield, of they could play. Maybe they should be on the major league club, but they're sitting down at AAA. Then you've got guys either struggling that don't feel like they have a consistent job, where they're like, is this guy going to come up at any moment and take my job? Which is always a good competition is always a good thing. But I feel like if there's too many good prospects, and I'm not saying that's what the Rockies have, but in some spots it does feel like they have enough of those younger guys that they believe will be good, that they can get rid of one or two of them to maybe get a more proven player, or flip that and get a pitcher that's a prospect as well. That's somebody that they feel like in 2 or 3 years can be part of the rotation or a late inning bullpen guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways they can go about it. I agree with you completely, and I think I'm not opposed to them being aggressive with prospects. That's probably the only place I'm actually okay with them being aggressive. I don't want them to be aggressive in going and signing some, like a Luis Severino type of deal with that he just signed with the A's, where it's like you're going to get 3, maybe a year or 2 of good pitching out of him, and then he's going to probably fall off. I'm okay with them aggressively moving prospects, just because I think that's the chips that you have to play with right now. That's the cards that you have. The Rockies have a top 10 prospect, a farm system in all of Major League Baseball. They have a top 5 prospect. Now, I'm not saying go get rid of Chase Dollander at all, but I'm saying there are pieces in that lineup in the farm system that you can move for value. What I want the Rockies to be careful about is, like you said, making moves that benefit them tomorrow when our end goal is 2 years from now or 3 years from now even. Let's be realistic. Are the Rockies going to the playoffs next year? No, they're not. Not with the lineup we have today. And I don't want them trying to put all their eggs in tomorrow's basket to sell tickets and say, look, we're fighting for next year, kind of like they did with the Chris Bryant trade, deal years ago. I want them to be very calculated about how they do that. So what that looks like, I don't know. I'm going to be out there in Dallas, so I'll be getting a vibe from Bill Schmidt and Bud Black and the rest of the Rockies front office, and where they're kind of approaching this winter meetings, this offseason. It's been a really slow offseason so far. We've had a couple
I feel
relatively big deals, Snell being really the biggest one.
Yeah, it's one of those, I feel like where a couple shoes drop and then a bunch of shoes start to drop. It's like an avalanche of deals and signing. Can I ask you a quick question about winter meetings? Since I've never, obviously I've heard of them, they've been a thing. So is that basically all of the GMs and all of the front offices and managers go to the same spot and basically literally meet?
Yep.
So it's like NFL free agency. They are calling each other on the phone from their own. This is one big convention.
It's one big convention. I also put it like this, it's very much for the reporters. It's, like I'm going to get to have lunch or breakfast with Bud Black and Bill Schmidt, and it's focused around the media and building those relationships. But yes, deals are going to be made. They're going to have stations where coaches are going to be talking, and coaches can go interact with each other, and press conferences. Coaches will be jumping on MLB Network. It's a whole roundabout thing. So it'll be my first time covering winter meetings too. So it's there's a lot that I don't know that people who have done this for a long time know more than I do about that kind of thing. But to my understanding, yes, this is a place where it gives managers and GMs an opportunity to create more of a personal relationship with each other and with the media, and hopefully get some deals out of it.
Yeah, cool concept.
It is.
I will say, really cool.
It's
very
like a convention.
Unique. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
compared to especially like the other sports where it's like they're on the phone and they're this and they're that from their office. Like they're all just in Dallas.
And let's be real. If Bill Schmidt calls you and you're the GM for the New York Mets, and Bill Schmidt calls you and says, I want to make a deal. I mean, being realistic and being honest about what the Rockies are in the eyes of the rest of Major League Baseball, like the Rockies don't command a lot of value and demand and attention and interest. And unless Bill Schmidt calls and says we're willing to trade Brenton Doyle or something like that, like I think there's this narrative that the Rockies don't get taken seriously. So it's hard for the Rockies to trade guys like Brendan Rodgers and Elias Diaz, guys like that who we've missed out on in the past. So this feels like a place where if I'm Bill Schmidt, I'm jumping in there. I'm putting myself in front of these people and saying, let's get some deals done, if that's the route they want to go. It gives you more face to face. You can't avoid my calls you can't duck my calls type of situation. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. After the break, though, I want to talk a little bit about our draft lottery chances. Are the Rockies going to have a chance to get the top pick? I mean, obviously they have a chance, but what's it going to look like? Are they going to be able to? What are the chances that they actually get a top pick? And is it realistic for the Rockies? We'll talk about that in just a moment. But before we do, got to give a shout out to our friends over at Bet365, because at Bet365, we don't do ordinary, and we believe that every single sport should be epic. It is a great time of year to be betting on sports. I've got my college hoops rocking right now. Some bets that I've thrown out there. The Auburn game, I had Auburn over Duke the other day, and took the money line on that game, and was able to pick up a couple other bets on the parlay. That was a great game, not only to watch but also to bet on. So I always plug my college basketball bets. That's my favorite sport to bet on. But it's a great time of year to be jumping in on the betting world. Did you place any bets on Broncos last week?
No, so I don't bet on my teams.
Okay,
ever.
that's good.
I'm
That's good for
very
you.
Superstitious and weird. I will do a lot of props.
Okay.
I did like the over on the Monday night game, and I just didn't bet it. I was working before the game. It started. Of course, you can say that when each team scores almost the over to themselves.
Yeah,
but I did hit a nice little parlay in the Nuggets game last night.
Love it.
Unfortunately, they lost, and I knew that was going to happen, and I bet on that. But sometimes I will bet against my teams. It's bad to say, but I will.
It's a long season.
Yeah,
it's a long season.
And especially like baseball as well. Games. Every single game, it's not like the NFL where one game is almost 5, 6, 7% of your season. You've got so many out there that you're like, all right, we'll take this one. I knew what was going to happen, and I bet on it. And that's what's fun is you can, at least I was pissed about the Nuggets losing. Checked my Bet365 account, not as pissed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, the Rockies aren't going 162-0, so you might as well make some money through the Bet365 app. When they do lose.
Well, when you were talking about the late inning struggles, that was the easiest bet in the world.
Oh my God!
Rockies up in the fifth, sixth, boom, other team money line. I don't care.
Yep.
Pop it in there, live bet it, done.
It is truly easy. It is unfortunately easy, and Bet365 makes it even easier if you use code DNVR365 when you sign up. We've got a bunch of different boosts that are specific to DNVR, to Bet365. Also got some great offers that you can check out there. So download that app, check out Bet365, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Also got to give a shout out to our friends over at Toyota. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR, my official vehicle as well. My Toyota Highlander is still hanging in there. And with winter around the corner, although it already feels like it at times, it's a little chilly outside in the mornings, you got to have a car that can handle all of everything that the Colorado winter can throw at you. And Toyota has so many different choices. They've got you got a what? Tundra?
Tundra.
They've got your Toyota Tundra that Spencer likes to rock. I've got my all-wheel drive Toyota Highlander. They've got RAV4, Tacomas. so many different vehicles that can handle everything that the Colorado roads will throw at you, from the potholes to the icy conditions, whatever it is. We know it's hard to drive in Colorado, so make it even easier by picking up a Toyota for your next car and see why Toyota is truly the best when it comes to all-terrain vehicles. So many different choices. They've also got some other choices if you're, wanting to go with something a little more casual. You don't need to go into the off-roading world. They're Camry, Corollas, whatever you're into, they've got you covered there. So visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson's Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson's Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. All right, real quick. The Rockies, Major League Baseball put out a little press release talking about what the odds were for teams in the draft lottery that are taking place Tuesday, 1 to 3 p.m. Central Time out in Dallas. The Rockies are tied with the Marlins for the best chance at getting the number 1 pick in the draft lottery. They have a 22.5% chance to get the top pick. They've got a roughly 50% chance to get a pick within the top 2 spots. And they have like a 90% chance to get a pick within the top 5. It's a very, very low chance that they get a pick, between 5 and 7. And if they get anything below that, I don't even think that's possible. But in true Rockies fashion, I can't help but feel a little down about this. I don't know. Maybe this is just like I felt like this. For example, when the Broncos were up on the Chiefs, and the Broncos, or we're down on the Chiefs, but we're lining up for the field goal for a chance to win the game, I had this feeling of like, it's too good to be true. It's not going to happen, dude. Like, I've been a Broncos fan for 8 years now.
The literal shittiest part of that fandom, in the history.
I didn't even get the good part of it.
Nothing good until now.
And lo and behold, the kick gets blocked, and I'm sitting there with my head in my hands, like, feeling like I knew it. Like I hate that I feel that way. I kind of have that feeling with this draft lottery. Again, I get that. The numbers don't lie. 22.5% is a great chance compared to the other teams to get the top pick. But if you look at it, out of 100%, 22% isn't that great of a chance to get a number 1 pick. Like, yes, it's better than other teams, but you're still less than a quarter of a shot at getting the number 1 pick. And if the Rockies can get a top 2 pick, I'm happy, right? But I just feel a little skeptical.
100%. And
I feel like this is going to upset a lot of Rockies fans.
100%. But so I will ask you this: in the prospect world coming into 2025 or 2025 draft, is there somebody that is like a Bryce Harper? Not Bryce Harper's a weird. Nobody can be Bryce Harper. There are very few people in the world who can be Bryce Harper. But is there that clear number 1 guy that you feel like makes a difference or could make a difference? Because looking at last year's draft, so Travis Bazana and Chase Burns 1, 2, and then the Rockies got Condon at 3. From what I saw, obviously I'm a little more biased, looking towards the light versus the darkness. Charlie Condon was like everybody's favorite and like the best. They thought the best player in that draft. So and that's where sometimes that can work out. Like the Avs have seen that work out with Cale Makar. They didn't get the first overall pick.
The Broncos got Bo Nix at whatever pick they took him at, and he's been incredible.
So is there a guy that is like not necessarily a Bryce Harper level, but whoever gets the number 1 pick, they're no doubt taking him? Is there that guy in this draft?
I mean, so. It's got to be Ethan Holiday. It's got to be Ethan Holiday. I don't know if that's the Bryce Harper, and I know you clarified that, but like I don't know if Ethan Holiday has the depth to be more than a Charlie Condon as of now. He could prove us all wrong. Like, he is a Charlie Condon is what I see from Ethan Holiday, with maybe a little more pop. I think where Ethan Holiday could really benefit the Rockies is it could turn the tide of excitement in Rockies fandom. I think we're seeing it a little bit from Chase Dollander, where people are like, hey, Chase Dollander might be the next Paul Skeens. Like, Rockies fans are going to be, every single Rockies fan will be watching Chase Dollander's debut at Coors Field when that happens. Like, it's going to be a big deal. I think Ethan Holiday, given his connection to Matt Holliday and the Rockies, and also what Jackson Holiday has done in Baltimore, Ethan Holiday could be that, gold mine or that kind of gold mine within himself of a huge pick. Now, he's probably going to go number 1, which is why I feel a little like skeptical of like, I hate to be, this guy. I hate to be cynical about this, but it just feels like the Rockies just don't catch breaks when it comes to this kind of stuff. And let's also remember, this is the last year they're eligible to be in the top 10 pick because they've had it 3 years in a row. So I don't know all of the breakdowns of the legalities of that, but from what I've seen in the research I've done, this is the last chance they have basically at that top pick. That's why they have the best chance at getting a top pick.
Okay,
so it's kind of like you better get it here or you don't.
Yeah, and Ethan Holiday does in my Rockies fandom mind, it moves the needle.
He moves the needle.
It moves the needle enough to where obviously Matt Holliday's kid, one of the heroes. We don't have very many heroes here. We've only been an organization 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Not a ton of winning.
Yeah,
so there's a few heroes, and Matt Holliday is one of the heroes. If you grew up watching the Rockies like I did, he's your ultimate hero. And having his son, who his other son's already producing in the MLB, obviously had the tough start, battled back from it. Now you get the other son. I don't know. I think that's Matt's already like around the organization. He already kind of has been. Definitely, I know he coaches a college baseball team or did. But I think having Matt back around with his son would be something pretty special.
Yeah, totally.
I wasn't as set up to be hurt until I found out about this, and now I'm way more set up.
That's what I'm saying,
now
man.
it feels way too good to be true.
It sucks being a Rockies fan. It's just a painful journey.
It would be more fitting if they get the number 1 pick and there's not. It's just like there's 5 guys that could go number 1. We don't know who the Rockies are going to take, but now I feel like
Ethan Holiday,
they kind of have to take him. They have to.
It's Ethan Holiday. It's got to be Ethan Holiday if they get that number 1 pick. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with that. Real quick, before we hit our next break, I do want to talk a little bit about Juan Soto, give an update on Juan Soto. We still have heard nothing from the Juan Soto sweepstakes. However, there have been reports that Juan Soto could garner more than $750 freaking million. And to that I say, what the hell are we doing? I had a conversation with some people, some knowledgeable baseball fans on Twitter about this, because I tweeted about this when I saw this come up, that that some of the offers might end up, the final offer might end up getting close to $750 million. And I've talked about this on the show before, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. However, Juan Soto is not worth $750 million. It's just not. That's just not the reality. Now, could he sign for $750 million? Absolutely. And those things can be right in the same ways. Those things can be correct at the same time. I just have such a hard time quantifying a player who is very good, but is not Shohei Ohtani, and paying him more than Shohei Ohtani. And so, like, my argument to that is, like, Shohei Ohtani pitches, he hits, he sets records that we've never seen in baseball before, ever, every year. He brings your team a World Series in his first year with the team. He brings an entire country of fans to your doorstep. He brings $700 million in TV revenue to your team in one season, beyond all of the other, merchandise and all the other stuff that comes to your team. Shohei Ohtani has proven that within 1 year of signing with the Dodgers, he is worth more than what he signed in that $700 million contract. I don't see in the entire 15-year contract that Juan Soto will probably sign, there is not a chance that I ever say Juan Soto has made up for that $750 million if he signs for that. Absolutely not. I just can't swallow that. I can't fathom a guy who is valued at so much less than what Shohei Ohtani is making more money. Yeah, I mean, Shohei Ohtani is the gold standard of everything in terms of, like, pitching, hitting for power, just being, like you said, bringing an entire, that's something that doesn't resonate a ton, but when you said it, I thought more about, like, Shohei Ohtani's bringing a country of fans. Literally. Like, they're... A continent, almost. Yeah, the amount of extra merch they sell and people that travel over and go to games and tickets and TV revenue, and they're probably, people have Dodger games on it. I don't know the time difference, 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning there just to watch him. Yeah. That's generational talent. Franchise changing type of player. Juan Soto, great player, but
none of the not even like 50% of the intangibles of Shohei.
And I heard, some of the arguments back to me was, well, it depends on where he signs. If he signs with the Red Sox, like there will be butts in seats. Like it will be a sold out game every day. You're right. That will increase the value to Juan Soto, but it's still not more than Shohei Ohtani. That's where I guess I keep circling back to. And I understand the logistics. I understand that baseball is shifting and progressing, and it's not as much of a fight of is Juan Soto worth $750 million? It's our team's trying to outbid the other team. Like that's why it's happening. Like I understand that. I just can't fathom a guy making $750 million more, than Shohei Ohtani. So, anyways, I do after the break though. We do have an interesting thing to react to because a certain Rockies fan seemed to get a one-on-one interview via email with a certain Rockies owner and had a little exchange over email. And so, not only do I want to react to that, but maybe we even craft up an email of our own. Let's see if we can get a response from the chairman of the Rockies, Mr. Dick Monfort. So we're going to do that after the break. But before we get into that, got to give a shout out to our friends over at Coors Light because Coors Light is the most refreshing light beer available. And I say it every time. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. Could be the middle of winter. Coors Light hits no matter what. Whether you're on a rooftop at Coors Field watching some Rockies baseball or you're in the DNVR bar, hanging out with friends, watching the Nuggets try to win. Like, doesn't matter where you are. Coors Light goes well with anything. So, make the most out of those times you choose to chill. Crack open a nice, cold, refreshing Coors Light. Do what Spencer and I do every single weekend. Enjoy some Coors Light. There's really nothing better.
Coors Light is the fastball. You just throw the fastball.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get. You know how good it's going to be.
The Seth Halverson fastball.
Exactly. You know exactly what you're getting every time you crack open
You can
Coors
throw
Light.
it 101 right down the middle, and you'll still get great results. It is
100%.
It is the best pitch in baseball, the best drink in baseball and beyond. Coors Light is our official beer here at DNVR. We love it, and there's a reason we've got Coors Light cans on the table that you can't even see. So make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instant Cart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado. Well, we also got to give a shout out to our friends over at Shady Rays, my personal favorite sunglasses. There's so many reasons I enjoy Shady Rays. Not only are they affordable, they look great. They are great sunglasses. They're durable. I take them fishing whenever I go fishing. I've dropped them in the water, pick them up. They don't get scratched. They don't get, broken like that. They're really, really durable sunglasses. So got to check out our friends over at Shady Rays. I know Spencer wears his Shady Rays when he does his golf podcast. I'm actually impressed that we can see your eyes today. It's nice. It's a nice change in pace a little bit.
Yeah, luckily I'm far enough away from the screen of me where I don't see the bags under my eyes, but that's part of it. I'm just like, dude, the light in my eyes is not a good look for me.
It's got a little PFT vibe for Spence on the Big Drive, shows. He's got the sunglasses on the whole time, but if I could see, like, I have a hard time seeing inside when I'm wearing sunglasses. If I could see better, I would do the same. But outside, man, it is Shady Rays. They are killer for anything you want to do. Whether, like I said, you're going skiing, fishing, hiking, or even just hanging out with friends downtown. Shady Rays look great. They are truly amazing. And they've got some great deals for our listeners. So right now, head over to ShadyRays.com. Use code DNVR for 35% off all polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, back here on the DNVR Rockies podcast, Christian Saez, Spencer Smith here. Riley, if you want to pull up this email, took a screenshot of it. A Rockies fan named Kevin sent an email to Dick Monfort, the owner of the Colorado Rockies, and this is legendary. I love this. I absolutely love this.
Is this not his most redeeming quality as an owner?
The fact that he emails the fans back? And it's such a genuinely, like, clever response in just he just picked up his phone out of his pocket, looked down, said, I don't know who this guy is, but he's asking a question, and I know the answer, so I'm just gonna pop one off real quick right back to him. Like, and it even says sent from my iPhone.
Incredible. It's usually sent from my iPad too. Yeah. Like, he's normally on the iPad.
I love that. And so I actually tweeted about that, and I had said, I'm like, this is the Kevin just did more reporting this, in this one email than all of us who cover the Rockies did all season long. And Kevin responded and was like, hey, you'd be surprised at how easy it is to get a response as a fan than when you're covering the team in the media. And that is true. Like, I think, the media, it's our jobs. So we have to work a little harder for it. It's not as easy to go get one-on-one, FaceTime with Dick Monfort or Bill Schmidt. That's why winter meetings are so valuable at times, because, it can be a really good chance to sit down with some of these big players and in the industry and talk to them. But it makes me curious. Like, do you think there's a way in which we could get a response from Dick Monfort? I don't know if he knows that I cover the team. I mean, it'd be different, maybe he'd see the DNVR email, but...
Yeah, I think I was gonna say, should we do a pseudo email, like
should we craft one?
Should we craft an
what would
email
we
to
say?
Dick Monfort?
Because we'd have to like I know everyone at home would probably be like, sell the team, Rockies suck, like we all, we hate you. But like we can't say that. Like this is my job.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, well, I got to be able to.
We want to get a response.
We want to get a response.
Part of the bit in the story that will make this a great story. So
I gotta ask. Like what how would we approach this?
Okay, we have to start with "Good morning, Mr. Monfort."
Okay. Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Monfort. What question are we gonna ask?
Should we ask theoretically, like if you could sign? Well, I guess that answer Shohei Ohtani.
I love this idea, though. If you guys are listening at home and you want to throw your ideas in there, what email should we send? What questions? It's an open book. Again, I can't go harp on him because I got to be able to maintain a relationship with the guy.
Who's the best free agent pitcher available?
Do like a trivia, like who's your favorite? Who's the favorite Rocky you've ever signed?
What's the worst contract you've ever given out?
Yeah. I don't think that might get an answer. That one probably wouldn't get an answer. Good morning, Mr. Monfort. I am looking forward to winter meetings in Dallas.
Oh, let's ask him if the Rockies have had any conversations with the Japanese phenom pitcher.
Oh, yeah, Saki.
Yeah. What's
is it Roki Sasaki?
That sounds pretty close.
That sounds right. The CHGO's like doing a whole thing where they're trying to eat ramen or eat Japanese food every single day until he signs with the Cubs.
Yeah. Okay. So this is perfect because this is kind of on the same lines. All right. So what do we have?
I'm looking forward to winter meetings in Dallas. I'll say with that in mind, have the Rockies made any inquiries
on Roki? And the O has one of those little like things over it.
I don't think I have that in my keyboard, so we're gonna have to go without.
Just hold the O.
Yeah. Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Or is that just gonna give me a million O's?
Is it giving a million O's?
No, it gave me a million O's. All right.
Okay. I screwed you.
Work.
Okay,
Fail.
It works on the phone. Sorry, my fault. SASAKI.
Okay.
Question mark. Start a new thought. Many are saying he could change the game as a pitcher in the MLB. There's no better place for him to do it than Coors Field. Yours truly.
No better. Yours truly. All right. Place to do it in. There's no better
place to do it in the MLB than at Coors Field.
The MLB than at Coors. All right. Yours truly.
Christian Saez.
Yours truly. All right. I need to get his actual email set, so I'll send that after the show because I do. But here's the thing: we're probably going to get the same answer that he sent because Saki has, I believe, publicly gone out and said, "I want to go to the Dodgers."
Oh, okay.
But even if that's what a response we get, I'll take it.
Yeah, and especially if we get a like, yes, we checked in, but he's going to the Dodgers. Like, if he just says no, he wants to go on West Coast.
Yeah.
Then
yes.
At least we got an answer. Still makes for a good story.
Kyle in the Toyota chat says XOXO DNVR. I love that. I love that. My wife will appreciate that too. She's a big Gossip Girl fan. Yeah, I have faith that we can get a response.
Yeah,
I think I think Dick Monfort would respond to us. That's also a good email that we just crafted. I think that's, I mean, because if you look at Kevin's email, it was very, professional. Like it wasn't harsh or intense. It wasn't anything like that. It was like, hey, just checking in.
Can you imagine his inbox?
Oh, I know. I don't know how and good on Kevin for blocking out his email.
He's probably muted the word "sell the team."
Yeah. I just cannot imagine how many emails he gets, especially after. And apparently, I was looking through. This isn't the first time Kevin has sent an email to Dick Monfort, and Dick Monfort has responded in the past about when Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes were happening. He responded saying something like "could be fun" and then like a couple other things. So I appreciate that. I give credit to Dick Monfort, for all of the things that Rockies fans get upset about, him responding to fans via email and hopefully responding to our email that we're about to send to him. That's a plus.
Yeah, that is by far his most redeeming quality. I don't know the man as a person, but
yeah. And sending it from his phone too is the cherry on top.
Like I just would love. I'm picturing him like sitting at a bar, some really nice bar downtown Denver, probably
or his like ranch in Greeley or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
he
just
spends a
sitting
ton of
up
time
with a
out there.
cup of coffee or whiskey and just like responding to customer fan emails.
I would have so much fun if I was an owner.
I know.
Of a team.
I think I would be a lot like that. I think I would love Although I will say that and then like I've had a few tweets go semi-viral. And the responses that aren't good, I'm like torn. Physically. I'm like mentally torn down. I can't do this anymore.
Or I'd get way too pissed off. Like I'd get way too heated. Or you could just do what RK and Jake do with the Buffs show, and just keep receipts, and then you're set. I mean, that would be the vibe that we would have if we were owning a team. You keep all those emails and just start blasting fans after your team starts winning. You make it to the playoffs and you're like, you want me to sell the team?
Yeah.
And you just put a screenshot of emails out there.
Exactly. Just copy paste.
Way too dangerous.
Have them all in like a mean folder.
Yeah.
Just like mean emails folder, and you just move them all there and then just go through everybody's and just
that would be
pull
incredible.
The receipt.
That would be incredible. So again, shout out to Kevin. We will keep you updated because I'm going to send that email and see if we can get a response from Dick Monfort. Maybe he's in the responding mood. So we'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on in the off season, or at least we're making things happen in the off season. Because as we get closer to the winter meetings, next week, we're trying to kind of figure out what the vibe is for the Rockies. Are the Rockies players? Are they contenders for any moves this off season? There's a lot of talk about, this is going to be the domino effect here in the next couple days, that when winter meetings start going off, we're going to see what happens with Juan Soto, and everything's just going to trickle downstream from that point on. So could this be a moment for the Rockies where they see other teams making moves, and with all those other pieces going in, they start to throw some things down? Like, we'll see what ends up happening. I do want to pause for a break, but after the break, we want to talk a little bit about this golden at bat rule, which I know it's kind of got its runtime here already. It's we've been talking about it for the last couple days, but I wanted to go a step further and brainstorm some other insane rules that Major League Baseball could start throwing out there, because we could go down the rabbit hole here. There's a lot of different ways. If we're trying to make Major League Baseball fun again, if we're trying to Savannah Banana this MLB like Rob Manfred is apparently trying to do with this golden at bat rule, let's go down the rabbit hole with it. So let's do that after the break. But before we get into that, got to give a shout out to our friends over at Breck Distillery. It is my favorite whiskey, whether you're making old fashions, whether you're drinking it on the rocks. I enjoy both. Doesn't matter however the conduit of enjoyment you choose to enjoy it through. Breck Distillery is truly the best bourbon. They've got some great vodka too. I just personally I'm a bourbon guy. I know Spence is too. We're big bourbon drinkers. We go to the DNVR tailgates, and you indulge in some Breck Distillery bourbon.
Yeah, did you see so Monday night we had the big Brecks there.
I was in Seattle for that. I missed that one.
Those bottles are insane. They're like double the size, and you can get them at liquor stores for a discounted price based on like what you'd buy a regular bottle for. You're going to go through a lot of whiskey in the winter time. That's when my whiskey is flowing, like right about December, January, February into March, and then it kind of like tails off a little
That's
bit.
when the Whiskey River is rolling.
Runs dry. Runs dry in March, starts roaring in December.
I love it. I know. I missed out. Double the size, double the fun. That sounds like a great time. But yeah, whether you're enjoying it at a DNVR Broncos tailgate, because there's plenty to enjoy at DNVR Broncos tailgates, or you're just enjoying it in the comfort of your own home. Breck Distillery, they've got you covered. And also, they've got some pretty sweet deals. If you enter right now, if you go online right now, you could enter to win 2 tickets to Denver Broncos games in the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite. Share how you celebrate the Broncos by posting your photos to social media using hashtag Broncos Bourbon. Also, use code DNVR at checkout for free shipping on all orders over $99. Learn more at breckdistillery.com. Oh, we also got to give a shout out to, some of our events that are coming up here. We've got some incredible events that are just around the corner, and I think the biggest one, and I say just around the corner, this one's at the end of December, but we got to promote it now because this is going to fly off the shelf ticket-wise. Can you guess what I'm going to say here? And because you're the events guy, so can you venture to guess the big event that we have at the end of December?
I'm going to say our Nuggets Suite Takeover.
You are correct. DNVR Nuggets Suite Takeover versus the Cavs, December 27th at 5 p.m. You are going to be posted up in a suite with the DNVR Nuggets crew, other fans. I know you set all this up as our DNVR events manager. What's this going to look like? This looks like it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, so you're getting in the suite, you're getting food and drink all night. Obviously, it's fun to just watch a game from a suite. You can get up whenever you want. Bathrooms right there. You got a whole kitchen, food constantly the whole game. Nuggets guys are going to be in there. There may be some special guests dropping by. And you get like a swag bag, DNVR merch, other cool limited edition stuff for when these events go down and you sit in the suite. So it's going to be a great time. Great time.
Sounds like a great time. So yeah, make sure you get those tickets early though, because those will go very quickly. That is on December 27th at 5 p.m. You can check that out at thednvr.com/events. Also got another great Broncos tailgate coming up on the 15th. That's a little bit sooner, so that's that can hold you over until the Nuggets take over. But December 15th, 11 a.m. Broncos are definitely going to the playoffs this year, so you do not want to miss out on all of the fun festivities that are happening around the Broncos this year, and our tailgates are the best time in the entire Denver city. I mean, that's just the way to go.
And the vibe around them right now with having the team be good they're exponentially more
Vibes
fun.
are immaculate. Football vibes are immaculate across all of our teams. So check that out, thednvr.com/events. All right, back here on the DNVR Rockies podcast, Christian Saez, Spencer Smith, Big Drive Spence. The Golden at Bat rule was circulating around the Major League Baseball world over the last few days. Rob Manfred, I guess, confirmed that there was some of the executives in Major League Baseball there was some buzz around this rule. Now, if we go back and read the actual quotes, he didn't say like we're gonna make this a thing. It was just more of like, hey, we're kind of tossing this idea around. For those of you who live under a rock and don't know what the Golden at Bat rule is, that's okay. All it means is basically it's the celebrity shot of baseball. A team has one chance throughout any game to choose their best hitter, to say our best hitter can hit at any point in the game, no matter where we are in the lineup, whatever. So bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, you can, and you've got Aaron Judge on your team, you bring up Aaron Judge, even if he's 4 batters away. Like, that's the idea. So, of course, there were tons of jokes that came out about, like, it is a joke. I mean, what are we doing here? This is a disaster. Like, that wouldn't, what is Shohei Ohtani going to get back-to-back hits here? Like, he's going to get up with the bases loaded. He strikes out, and then you can bring Shohei Ohtani back up to hit again. Or, like, there's so many different ways we can go about this. I don't really want to dive too much into the Golden at Bat rule per se, because we have kind of gone through that whole circulation. I want to ask more of, where could we go from here? Because Major League Baseball has shown they are at least willing to entertain crazy ideas for new rules. So where do we go from here? What kind of crazy rules do you want to see in Major League Baseball? The Savannah Bananas have a ton of them. But if you were getting to throw out some just like off the wall, what are we doing type of rules, do you have any in mind? Because I've got a couple.
Yeah, so the first one that comes to mind would be maybe I don't know what you call it, kind of in the golden at bat way, but the opposite of that, like the golden pitch, where if you throw a pitch and it ends up in the seats for a home run, you get to pull it back.
Oh, I like that.
Go back to the same spot in the count. pitch never a mulligan, basically.
A mulligan, yeah, I was gonna say
that pitch mulligan that never existed. You just come right back to the 3-2 count, and you get to throw another pitch.
Can you imagine how deflating that would make home runs, though? Like Juan Soto hitting his home run against the Guardians to like win the game, basically, for the Yankees. And then to just be like, nope, never mind.
yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah, it's basically like a home run derby. He hits it, and then he just gets back in. And
he
he's
doesn't
like,
even, he doesn't even leave the box because he knows that he's going to just come right back. Mine was an in-game trade deadline where one day out of the year, teams can, or have to, not even can, have to make a trade in the game between players that play in between those two teams. So if on that day, let's say the Rockies are playing the Dodgers, the Rockies and Dodgers have to make a trade during the game. Let's just say, on the third inning of the game, have to make a trade of a player, and that player has to literally switch teams in the middle of the game on that day.
They just have the jersey already ready to go.
The jersey's already ready to go.
It's in the clubhouse.
The clubhouse is already set. They've got their locker all set up. It just has a big question mark on it.
Yeah. I love that.
And you're the traded player. And it balances things out because you could put a team like the Rockies up with a team like the Dodgers. You get all the finances figured out before the game started, of the contracts and all that kind of stuff. And then during the game itself, on the third inning, everyone stops and they on the Jumbotron do a big reveal of who's traded.
They walk up to home plate like they're trading the manager cards and they just trade teams. They just shake hands and flip teams.
I also had a free fastball rule. Pitcher, another team or the hitting team can determine when they can basically say, in this at bat, the pitcher only has to throw fastballs throughout the entire at bat, and you know how it's going to come, and that's going to be the at bat that we do it.
I like that. I think one not as crazy rule. I think players should be able to come back into games. I don't think that's not like as crazy of a rule.
I agree.
I think it's actually a legitimate thing where it's crazy to me that somebody comes out of the game in the third inning, or a pitcher comes out. Why not? If you pitching, it's more because their routines are so crazy. But if you take a guy out in the 7th and then you get to the 10th and want to put him back in the spot he was already in, I don't see that's almost a golden at bat type of scenario, but not as crazy because I don't think they should be out for the when you end up having it's not as prominent anymore with the runners on base to start extra innings, but you get to these 10, 11, 12, 13 inning games and you're literally running out of players.
Yeah.
I think that gets to be a little ridiculous. I think you should
they
be
do
able
that in
to flip
softball.
someone back
in softball you can bring players back in, you can pinch run and then bring a player back in, pinch hit, same thing. So I agree with that. That is a pretty good one. The last actual rule or crazy rule that I would have is a drop the gloves rule. I think they should allow pitcher versus hitter fights to happen without an entire team dogpiling on before anyone can even throw a single punch. I think it should be, like hockey, where you hitter, gets the ball thrown at his head, drops his gloves, throws the helmet down on the ground, starts walking out to the mound, and pitcher drops the gloves, and everyone's like, all right, they're going for it.
Everybody just has to stop. No, not allowed on the infield.
All the umpires come in to referee the fight, make sure that, when someone goes down or whatever. I think the only difference with that is that, I think skates allow for the equalizer in hockey because, even if a guy isn't knocked out, if he's just, getting kind of beat up and he's like, dude, I'm done with this. He can just, kind of fall over on his skates, lose balance, whatever. Whereas, in baseball, it would be dudes are swinging until someone, gets hurt. Someone's going to end up on the ground at this. I think that'd be fun, though.
Or what about, bean for a bean rule? So the second
Pedro Martinez.
Yeah, the second somebody on your team gets hit, the next, 7th inning, somebody gets hit, accidental or not, the other team has a free, if they want it, they don't have to just take it. The batter can still get out of the way, but there's no repercussions whatsoever.
I love it.
There's no, you did this because of retaliation, you're getting thrown out. No repercussions whatsoever. The second your player gets hit, any of your pitchers have free reign to just go at it with no repercussions.
That's very Pedro Martinez / Roger Clemens back in the day. I love it. Old-fashioned baseball. Speaking of old-fashioned baseball, we got 5 minutes left or 6 minutes left on the show. I want to do a quick little trivia to wrap things up here on the podcast because we did trivia last time you were on the show, and It went pretty well. We did a pretty good job. So I want to throw this out there. And Riley, if you want to jump in on this too, I don't know what your baseball knowledge is, but if you want to jump in on this too, you are welcome to. But I'm keeping this relatively easy, but I do think there's going to be some challenges here. It's just one trivia question. Can you name all 10 MLB teams that wear pinstripes?
Okay, Yankees.
Yankees are one.
Rockies.
Rockies are two.
Right? That jersey's still around at some point?
Yeah,
Okay.
purple pinstripes.
Yankees are one, Rockies are two. Wow, this is harder than I thought it should be.
Mariners?
No, not the Mariners. Although I think the Mariners might get pinstripes as a City Connect in the future. One of these teams, I will hint, one of these teams, probably one that you guys won't get. It is their City Connect jersey that is the pinstripe jersey this year.
Okay, the Mets.
Mets are another one.
Okay.
Not a City Connect, but that they do have a
White
gray.
Sox?
White Sox, yep.
Cubs.
Cubs, that's
Okay.
5. You're halfway there.
All right, we've got Minnesota Twins.
Minnesota Twins.
Texas team.
I will say
Houston Astros.
Astros are not one of them. That is a
Astros are
good
not,
guess.
okay.
Rangers.
Rangers are not one of them either. I will say one of them our company covers as a beat.
Oh, Phillies.
Phillies is another.
Yeah,
Yep.
I knew that.
You're missing 3.
Orioles.
Not the
Orioles
Orioles. That's a
not
good
have
guess,
one?
though. Very old-fashioned team.
Yeah, very
not a
old-fashioned.
pinstripe team, though. One of them was...
Kansas City Royals.
Nope. One of them was in the playoffs. Well, let me check. 2 of them were actually in the playoffs. 2 out of the 3 were in the playoffs. One got bounced in the first round. They had a bye, but they didn't have to play in the wild card, but they ended up getting bounced in the first round. They had a lot of injuries this year. I share the first name with their star player who was injured this year.
Oh, the Milwaukee Brewers.
Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah. Do the Cardinals?
No, not the Cardinals. The other one, the other playoff team is a team that shares the division with the Rockies.
The San Diego Padres.
Yep,
San Diego Padres.
And then
Okay,
the last one,
is-
the last one's the City Connect one, and this one I would not have gotten either if I was in your guys' shoes.
I'm going to throw it out. The Tampa Bay Rays.
No, close guess though. You're very close.
Geographically close?
very.
Oh, the Atlanta Braves?
No.
Quite literally. So a Florida team.
Yep.
Miami Marlins.
It's the Marlins. The Marlins City Connect, all red City Connect with white pinstripes. I wouldn't have included them in this, but I guess City Connects, they threw that in there.
When do we get the City Connect soon, the new Rockies one?
I'm going to ask that. That is going to be one of my questions to at least Bill Schmidt.
And don't they there's rules on that too. Like obviously pitchers decide what jersey they wear. Home team gets to decide first generally, right?
That's a great question. I don't know. I know there are rules on like I'm curious, and maybe I'll ask, again, maybe I'll ask them this. I'm curious if there are rules around like the cutoff jerseys nowadays, because the consensus across all of the Rockies fans, including Bretton Doyle, who was on our show a couple weeks ago, who straight up said to me, I want the Rockies to bring back the black cutoffs, like the black tank tops. It's the black tank tops. Like that is the classic, most anticipated, desired jersey that the Rockies fans want to see back. I just don't know if that's even allowed anymore.
Well, and if they go soup, and maybe you're thinking of the one with the Rockies stitched across the front, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the one that like you see Larry Walker in with the big mountain?
Yeah.
Isn't that a cutoff as well?
That is a cutoff.
Yeah. See that is
the other thing Doyle made a good point on with the cutoffs though is that they don't sell very well as jerseys.
Oh, that's
like
that's
and
good
you
point.
and like a team has to, especially a team like the Rockies who makes most of their money outside of TV and that kind of stuff, from jersey sales, fans in the stands, that kind of thing. You got to be aware of like, is this going to sell, not just for our like baseball fans, but for like the bunch of non-baseball fans that just buy baseball jerseys because it's a cultural thing. Like there are a lot of people out there that aren't huge Rockies fans but have Rockies jerseys because it's a cool look.
Yeah, and I'm
maybe
in the
that
camp,
doesn't sell.
There's a lot of people in the camps of like, I feel like I'm very old school in my sports like fandom, but I love always getting new jerseys. I'm a big fan of that in every sport. Like people are like, oh, City Connects and this, like just wear the whites, just wear the blacks. No, like having a different jersey is cool to me. Having like a new design to either be pissed off about or love. Having a new jersey roll out every year, first of all, it's genius marketing by the teams. Like you're making more money than you, because somebody buys a jersey one year. Oh, that next City, like I have 7 Nikola Jokic jerseys because every year the City Connect came out. I was like, cool. Like I think that teams, I'm not a fan of like teams that are like, oh, let's just wear the old jerseys. I like the new, different. Like it sparks it up a little bit.
It does. I mean, look at the Nuggets. Like I have City Connect jerseys that I talked to D-Line on TDSP about, where we were like, we hated those Nuggets City Connects, and there were other ones that were like, those are good. Like I would wear that. They're white ones that they have now. I would totally wear the white City Connect jerseys for the Nuggets. Like I think those are, as D-Line hates, those are clean. Those are clean. But I think the Rockies, that might be one of the biggest news events that we get this whole offseason. What that looks like, what the new City Connect. I'm pumped, man.
I didn't hate the old one as much as everybody else did.
I didn't either, but who knows? We're going to wrap things up here on the show. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on the Rockies pod. We're going to be out in Dallas, for the beginning of the week, and then we'll have our Friday DNVR Rockies pod, same time, 12:15 next Friday. We're wrapping up everything here on the show. Shout out to Riley as our producer. Spence, you can find me on Twitter at DNVR Saez. I changed up my handle a little bit. So
I did.
At
I
DNVR
saw that.
Saez. I got to embrace the culture here. Big Drive Spence on Twitter as well, right? That's correct?
You got it.
All right, got it. All right. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you next time. Have a good weekend, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.